Good morning. I'm Gail Lattimore, the Executive Director of Codman Square Neighbor Development Corporation. Welcome to the groundbreaking of New England Heritage Homes. Yes. This is a 16-unit affordable homeownership development. And I just want to point out that Carol Sowers, who is a member of the Talbot Norfolk Triangle Neighborhood Association. Carol, raise your hand. Where are you? I saw you earlier. She named this development, so give credit to our neighbor, Carol, for naming this development. So I want to say a few words and then bring the mayor on. This project is located in the Talbot Norfolk Triangle Eco-Innovation District, where we've been working over the past 4 or so years on environmental and energy sustainability issues. And we're pleased that this project is designed to meet LEED standards. It's also a transit, okay, I'm gonna dance too. It's also a transit-oriented development project located at the foot of the Talbot Ave stop on the Fairmount line that we, along with the mayor, who was then a state rep, fought for and won funding for. So this project has a lot of importance to the community. Being a transit-oriented development will make it easier for the new homeowners to get jobs, go shopping, and go to other points. We thank the mayor for his leadership in getting this project off the ground. We also thank our other elected officials who are here, including Rep. Russell Holmes. I just saw President Andrea Campbell come in from the City Council. And of course, our new Senator, Nick Collins, who's been very accessible to us and helped us get this project off the ground. We also thank our community partners, the Talbot Norfolk Triangle Neighbors United, who worked very close with us from the very beginning of this process on design and other project issues. And Paul Malcolmus, who's the head of the Neighborhood Association, is going to speak later on. And given the housing price pressures in our neighborhood and concerns of displacement of longtime residents, this project couldn't have come at a better time. It is part of our Keeping Codman Square Affordable strategy that combines affordable housing development with organizing and advocacy, as well as economic development in the form of jobs and small business development. And we just launched an estate planning program, and we're hoping that the 16 new homeowners will take advantage of developing very low cost or free estate plans to help them protect their new assets and further intergenerational wealth transfer. So we are in the final stages of closing on this project, and I want to take a moment to thank the many people who've been involved in getting us to this point. Of course, the D&D staff, which includes Sheila Dillon, and I know Jessica Boatwright is here, Jay Lee, I know Ryan Lundergan is here, Chris O'Keefe, Jonathan Spillane, and many others at D&D. I also want to thank Mike Gondek of the Life Initiative, who should be here soon, hopefully, and will speak, for his support and funding, as well as thanks to Karen Kelleher from LISC, who's going to speak, and Mike Davis also for their support with acquisition and pre-development funding. Also thanks to Mike Williams from NeighborWorks America, who's a longtime supporter of Codman Square in DC and gave a $500,000 Project Reinvest grant to the development, and he'll speak. And of course, Lauren Liss of Mass Development for their Brownfields grant. And nothing could be done without the development team and the staff. And so I want to recognize them right up front before bringing the mayor on. And our development team members include the architect, Mike Washington, with his colleagues, Elvin, Ben, and Maya. And thanks to our contractor, One Way, whose principals include Abraham Gonzalez, and we're working very closely with Sumal Shah as well. And thanks to Carl Kwaku, our clerk of the works, who's we're looking forward to working with. And last, but certainly not least, are the Codman Square NDC staff, board, and development consultant who work diligently to make this project happen. That includes Megan Regan, who's been busting her behind on all these projects. I don't know where Megan is, but she's the force behind this. There she is. Thank you, Megan. And of course, Henry Joseph, our development consultant extraordinaire, who is right there. Thank you, Henry. And Beth O'Donnell and Antia Figueroa, our former real estate staff. Drew Verdalia. Jared Johnson has been very much involved in helping out. Marilyn Foreman, Jason Boyd, Katrina Allison, Vincent Lowe, Sonia DeRose, and many other staff. So now, after all these thank yous, I'm going to turn the podium over to the mayor, who, again, whose leadership over the years in the Talbot-Norfolk Triangle has been instrumental to making this project happen. So, Mayor Walsh.
Thank you, Gail. And I want to thank the Talbot-Norfolk Neighborhoods United, the Civic Association, thank you. To all the members of the neighborhood, thank you. I was just talking to Ms. Hanbury over there, and it took me down memory lane. I got elected in 1997. 1999, we redistricted in Boston, and I picked up this area. And I remember when I first picked up the area, I did a walk around the neighborhood, and I came down to Southern Ave, New England Ave, and Ms. Hanbury came out, and her husband was with her at the time, and her house looks exactly the same as it does today. The yard was beautifully kept. And to the right of her house was a lot by N-Star that it was overgrown. There was rats in there and trash in there. In New England Ave, the other side of the street, you couldn't walk on the sidewalk because there was trash. There was refrigerators and tires and dead animals, and the trees were overgrown, and Mass Bay Commuter Rail owned that, and they weren't responsive to the neighborhood. You go further down the street, there was a chop shop that I think Common Square ended up buying. There was a construction company down there. There was this lot that was owned by the city, but it was overgrown, and there was a white picket fence, if you remember, around it. It was broken and all kinds of trash in here, and we didn't have a station yet. And because of the community, we started to go to work here and started to clean up the other side. And I know that they're still working on cleaning up the Keola site, now Keola site. We have a station down the street. We have communities, activists involvement. Paul was telling me a story which I remembered. I went to his meeting one time, and I had a meeting with the little kids, the young people, and they were talking to me about. I was a state rep, and they were talking to me about the neighborhood, and it was the kind of we did the meeting once a month with the adults, and this was a kid meeting, and they brought up the payphone down the end of the street. Why do we need it? Because that's where drug activity is going on. They talked about a community gun that was happening not in Elmhurst, but it's a couple streets over in the neighborhood. And they told me about, how come we don't have mailboxes in our neighborhood? We have a mailbox up on Washington Street, but there's no mailboxes in the neighborhood. And, you know, the perspective through adults obviously is important, but the perspective to the eyes of kids is really important. A lot of work's been done. 10 years later, in redistricting, I lost this precinct, and Russell Holmes picked it up. Oh, you don't? I thought you picked it up. You picked the one next door to me. And I lost a couple precincts in my district because what we did in the House of Representatives at the time was create two black districts, if you will. We had people of color districts, and we tried to do more. And Russell became my partner next door, and we worked on these issues together. There was no boundaries. We both covered each other's meeting, and we both did our job, and it didn't matter. And Russell's still doing it today, and I want to thank him. Nick Collins is a state representative from South Boston, but again, paying attention to the issues in this area. And then when Linda Docina-Forey left, Nick ran for state senate and got elected. He's your state senator. He's here today. Andrea Campbell is your city councilor and working in the community, understanding the importance of what's going on. So today, for me, this is a special day. I broke ground the other day on a project in Southie that was, I think, a $300 million project, all kinds of stuff with it. Was great. I enjoyed it. This means more to me than means most to me than mostly any other project that I've broken ground on, because when I came down here back in the day, the community wanted something special. They wanted attention, and they fought and they fought and they fought, and it took a long time. But 19 years later, we're building 16 homes on the spot that attracted trash, attracted rats, kind of forgotten neighborhood, and it's not forgotten today. There's a lot of people out here, I'm not going to name you all, but you did this. You made this happen. It just happens that the elected officials, we get to be here and support with you, but you did it. You drove this community. You drove this development that's here today. 16 brand new affordable homes where working families will live. This street here is a very active street. If you get a chance to walk down, you're going to find a lot of homeowners in the street that are passionate about their neighborhood, and you're going to look in their front yards. You're going to see the way they keep their yards and the way they keep their backyards. A lot of houses on the street have incredible, beautiful backyards. People fought for years to make sure their neighborhood is good and clean and safe, and this is going to add to that. This project is going to add to it. This project received $600,000 from the City of Boston's Neighborhood Housing Trust and more than $600,000 in inclusionary development. And what that is when we do these big developments in downtown Boston, when they do off-site affordable, they pay into a fund, and that fund is spread across the city. And in 2014, that fund was 13%. In 2015, that fund was 18%, and we've invested over $100 million in neighborhoods through inclusionary development to make sure we can do projects like this. So I want to make sure, thank everybody. I want to thank D&D. I want to thank Sheila Dillon and her team, who are really focused on creating more and more housing. As you know and you see, there's a lot of conversations about gentrification and people being pushed out of the neighborhoods and how do we do it. And Sheila and her team took a lot of the development land that we had. Think about this. This land, owned by the city of Boston, look at the size of it, sat empty for over 20 plus years. Nothing here. It wasn't a park. It wasn't a parking lot. It was nothing. There was a fence around it, a white picket fence. It was broken. And we're getting these lots like this in the neighborhoods, out in the street for development so we can build homes. We're going to have 16 families living here. We're going to continue the work with reconstructing New England Ave. Out here, we're going to reconstruct the street. We're also adding a raised crosswalk on Elmhurst Park to slow traffic down. We're also going to be making sure that our community stays walkable and that we continue to make it safe, because we have a lot of seniors and kids in our neighborhood, which is great, and we got to make sure that they feel safe in their community in the sense of all of the traffic and the pedestrian vehicles going through this neighborhood. As our population continues to grow, we got to continue to think of important housing strategy and how we make sure we keep housing affordable and keep people in the neighborhoods that love their community, and how do they stay in their community. We've lost too many people from this neighborhood that couldn't afford to live here and they left. And we want to make sure the next generation of young people, we keep them here in our city. Last week, we increased our housing goals from 53,000 units new housing to 69,000 units by the year 2030. We want to make sure they're accessible to all income levels, so we're really going to focus on moderate, low-income housing, that workforce housing space to low income, to really focus on that. We're calling on our neighbors to do the part. We had an announcement the other day with 15 cities and towns in the greater Boston area, because everyone looks to Boston, what's going on in affordable housing. We can't build all the affordable housing and the workforce housing for the region. We just can't, because we just don't have enough space. So we're working with other mayors, and other mayors have stepped up and said that they want to make sure that we create more opportunities in the greater Boston area. So that was a great announcement the other day. But what all our work does, whether it's my work or Andrea's work or Nick's work or Russell's work or the other elected officials' work, is about preserving the incredible character of a neighborhood. And Common Square is an important place for us to remember to preserve the character of the neighborhood in the Common Square area. So I just want to say I'm really excited about this today. Driving down Southern Ave, I was thinking in my head that first time walking down the street in 1999. And thinking about, it took a long time, it shouldn't take that long, but to be here today, I just want to thank the community, thank the activists that have been doing this for a long time. Paul, thank you for your activism. To anyone from Common Square NDC, thank you. Common Square Council, thank you. Community, thank you. All the banks and lenders, thank you, because without you, we can't be here today. And just have a great day.
Good morning. My name is Paul Malcolmus from the Talbot Norfolk Triangle Neighbors United. We always draw straws to see who gets to speak, and somehow I keep getting the short straw. So here I am this morning to share about our excitement for this project as well. And so I just first want to say, on behalf of Talbot Norfolk Triangle Neighbors United, thank you. Really, thank you to all the partners that have worked together to make these affordable homes possible. As Mayor Walsh shared, 20 years ago, New England Ave was known as an illegal dumping ground. Neighbors from both Southern Ave and Colonial Ave would come out in the mornings to find fresh piles of debris, construction debris, not from our neighborhood, on the streets and the sidewalks here. And there was even times where neighbors had to go rogue and actually literally move that debris, toilets and wood, into the street just to get a response, to get things cleaned up. And that's how much neighbors cared. But it was a discouraging environment to live in, as you can imagine. But then as we moved along in 2006 and 2007, we came together with Common Square NDC, and we had a neighborhood planning series together. And I was just looking through some of the flyers last night of this whole series of meetings that we had. And what emerged from that was a shared vision to transform New England Ave, to see New England Ave move from this place of being sort of a industrial street cut through to a place of destinations. and our train is here shortly. So let me share that vision one more time. To transform New England Ave from an industrial cut-through street to a place of destinations. Destinations like homes and businesses, green space, a dog park, and artist studios. A place where buildings are environmentally and energy friendly and with infrastructure that's green. A place where neighbors literally felt safe walking along New England Ave at night. And a place where neighbors, particularly those who rent here today in the Talbot-Norfolk Triangle, could possibly own their own home even while escalating real estate prices are happening. The vision for affordable home ownership emerged, though, at a time when federal and state funding had dried up. And partners felt pressured to develop rental units, but we're so thankful that the Common Square NDC held out for this better opportunity. In 2014, the design process began again in earnest with the community, a process that allowed neighbors to help choose the architect, a process that involved the community, Carol Sowers, as mentioned earlier, figuring out the name for this project, a process that had neighbors downtown in D&D's offices, meeting with city officials and developers. And here we are, 5 years later, breaking ground. When New England Ave is fully developed, and I hope you know there's a much bigger vision than just these 16 units of homes, right? New rental units down there, new businesses up here. But when all this is developed, I'm actually proud to say that in TNT, we're going to be about 35% of our housing units have been preserved for affordable housing. And you know, while this isn't completely holding back the forces of gentrification, I think it's a great effort by a small 13th Street neighborhood working alongside some great partners to build a neighborhood where families can thrive and to stay. And so again, on behalf of TNT Neighbors United, we just want to say thank you to all of you.
Thanks, Paul, for bringing back all that history. I remember, you know, going back to 2005, 6, all the planning that we did that's paying off. And you and the neighbors have just been instrumental in making this happen and such great partners, so thank you all. I want to take a pause to allow some of our esteemed elected officials to come and say a few remarks. And so I guess I'll start with ladies first, which would be the President of the City Council, Andrea Campbell, and then Rep. Holmes, and then the Senator. Lady, how are you?
Thank you.
Good to see you.
You too. Thank you. Good morning. Okay, this is a celebration. This is a big deal. Good morning. Good morning. Paul almost had me in tears. You know, as the new elected for this area, and new compared to Rep. Holmes and the mayor, who represents this district, none of this is possible without the community. And so Paul, to the members of TNT, to my incredible D4 residents, thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for your hard work. These folks sacrifice their health, their well-being. They're volunteers. We don't pay them to do this work, to make sure that projects like this get done and get done in a timely manner. So I want to give you a big round of applause and thank you for your advocacy and partnership in this work. I think the mayor said it best. You know, this used to be an area that people didn't necessarily want to come to. It was an area that people would drive through, drop their trash, and keep on going. That's what people viewed this neighborhood as. As someone who's born and raised in Boston, and I live in Mattapan, and I represent Mattapan and Dorchester, I always have known that these communities were bright lights. I always knew about the gyms in these communities, whether it's the residents you're sitting next to who care deeply about their neighborhood, or Miss Norman, who sort of stood here and then walked back with her coffee cup, who cared deeply about this neighborhood. The folks who have never left, right? Who have stuck around because they see the potential, not only for them and their families, but for their neighbors and for the young kids to come. You know, I see this little one walking around and he's laughing and smiling. This is his neighborhood, so we're doing this for them. And I'm just honored and humbled to be a part of it. I also want to give a special shout out to D&D for the hard work they put into this project, to Codman Square, Gail and your incredible team for the work that they do, to the partners in the work. I'm looking at Rep. Holmes. Thank you for being a partner in this work. Our new Senator, Senator Collins, who is and will continue to be a partner in the work, our mayor for making this a priority. And because the mayor said it, I'm just going to pick it up and say, we got to do this stuff a little bit faster, though. You know, we have a lot of vacant lots in the city of Boston owned by us that we can do more on, and I think the mayor recognizes that. So the question I always have in pushing back is, we got to shorten the timeline. It shouldn't take so long. It shouldn't take 19 years or 10 years. No one should have to live by a parcel of land that is vacant, owned by us, and not developed into its full potential. So I look forward to being a partner in the work with you, Mayor, putting resources into the budget through the council side to make sure that this work happens a lot faster. And to the community again, and to our young people, and I'm so happy she came in here. This is awesome. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your dedication. And Paul, thank you for your incredible leadership. We appreciate you. I know the community does, but I appreciate you as well. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I, too, stand in a humble place saying that this is great to see that we've come a long way. I want to thank the community. I want to just give a shout out to, of course, Nicole, who we want our homes to be great, but we also want our business districts to also be great. So when you're thinking about just all the main streets and all the efforts we can continue to do there in Codman Square, the effort that she's been doing over the last couple of years has been excellent. And I always have to give a shout out to Marilyn because as a constituent, she's one of my favorites. She says it to me, I'm one of her favorites, but just the advocacy of seeing her in the TNT meeting when I'm there, in the Codman Square meeting, it really talks to what the CDC does. You're not here just to build housing. And so, Gail, when I think about now you've even expanded what you're doing. So I'd say, yeah, you're going to do financial literacy. Yes, you're going to do people's taxes. And now you're doing even estate planning. Just thinking that folks are in a home, and you're trying to build all the resources around them to make sure that there's a community being built. And even the fact that in each one of the spaces you make a space that the community can come in. We can have our community meetings, and you create a space for folks who are in the residence. And so thank you for doing all the things that you've really been paying attention to. When I see LISC on the board, I think of the funding that they provided, not just for this project, I think of the funding they provided for Millennium 10, and how you and your staff and your group worked over those 3 or 4 years, if they extended it. I can't remember if they extended the 4 years or not. But you worked to sit and galvanize and hear from the neighborhoods. What is it that we want? What is it that it looks like today? And what are we thinking 10 years out, 20 years out? And these projects like this make those things materialize. And so when I see the mayor get up here and get passionate, it reminds me of when we were passionate together in the State House, and it's always good to see that again. But the reason he didn't remember that I no longer have TNT is because we thought I had it. I mean, literally, as we were going through the redistricting, he wasn't happy giving it up. I was happy taking it. We were trying to make the district tighter. But then, unfortunately, when the math was done, my district is now, as he talked about a black district, it is now 69.4% or something of that nature black. And if I had taken literally this precinct, it would have been over what they call packing. It would have gone over the 70% number of one disproportionately or one minority community, and we couldn't do it. But TNT, I still love you. I still attend the meetings, of course. And so Hunt is actually the person who represents the area, but he and I are in the fight together. So thank you, Nick, for being here. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council President. Let's just take this and continue. I would say continue to advocate to me. Of course, Keola's came down this line because it's been mentioned more than once. Keola's came down, and we literally started at New Market or at South Station, and literally sent someone down the entire line from South Station all the way to Hyde Park and cleaned everywhere on both sides and down the line. So we're hoping that those are the types of efforts we want to continue. So thank you, community. Thank you, everyone. And I think I'm going to bring up the senator. So my partner today, as he's whispering in my ear before we got here, what's our next big project? We're going to hopefully bring Jay Ash out to do a tour soon to try to pick off some of these projects and figure out what more we can do as a state, because I know we've had some efforts to try to figure out all the city lots and the state lots to bring affordability, but your passion around making things affordable is what makes me more powerful at the State House. So my friend, Nick Collins.
Thank you, Russell.
I'll stand with you, brother.
All right.
I'm going to stand with them, so we don't have to go through that whole thing.
Awesome. Just wanted to thank Russell. For those of you who know him, you know the kind of passion he brings to the table. I got elected in 2010 with Russell, and from the jump, you could tell there was a proud advocate for the Mattapan and Dorchester communities that wasn't going to take no for an answer. So, working side by side with Russell has been an honor in the House and now in the Senate. As a newly elected senator, though, this is a new part of my district. My family has had some history here. My grandfather was a teacher at the Fifield and taught a lot of older residents in the community that have shared their stories with me of their relationship through some difficult times in Boston. So though I'm a new representative of the area, I feel like my family has had a lot of history here, and I got a new favorite restaurant in Next Step down the street. So as Russell had mentioned, I'm here as someone that just came from an event down the street with the council president and the mayor of a great symbol of how the community comes together with the businesses and thoughtful banks and financiers to make something special happen in the community. And just down the street, we were able to partake in what was a reopening of a small business that took on ownership of their building and now will sustain 3 other small businesses in the area amidst this great economic boom that can at times sweep up some of our residents and small businesses. So I want to thank the mayor for his commitment to helping preserve that. I know that the council president is committed as well to making sure that not just when it comes to affordable home ownership, that we're finding those opportunities to partner to make sure our local businesses can do that. So what started off as a great day is even better to come here and to know that after this project's done, we're going to see 16 families that have a chance to live in this part of Boston for the long.
Tonight we got men.
For the long term. Oh yes, and we'll be right down the street, maybe dressed down a little bit to cook. And I just want to say thank you to Gail and the team at Codman Square CDC. I got to meet them early on in the campaign and learned exactly what Russell said. They're not just interested in building affordable housing, but being community activists and partnering with the neighborhood associations like Talbot, Norfolk Triangle, to empower residents to be in charge of their own future. So I'm happy to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Gondek from the Life Insurance Community Investment Initiative. I appreciate Codman Square inviting us to be part of this project. It's always a source of astonishment to me that there may be a few people in any given group who have no idea in the world what the heck the Life Insurance Community Investment Initiative is. We are a $100 million loan fund that was capitalized by the life insurance companies headquartered in Massachusetts, actually. And they gave us a pretty simple twofold mission to go out and do some good and to make them a little money. We've done a lot of good. Not much money. But we have been, I think, quite successful. We've been in operation about 21 or 22 years now, have revolved that capital to the point where we've invested about $450 million over that time period in development throughout the Commonwealth. We've been partners with Codman several times over the past years. We helped purchase the site that was Levato Motors. That's now a beautiful development right near the station. We also helped purchase the Syria Temple site and the Lyndhurst sites for what later became Whittier Lyndhurst Washington project. And so we were really quite happy to be asked to be part of this effort. I do have to say that, we haven't done any affordable home ownership in 10 years of the Life Initiative since a certain event occurred in 2007, 2008 that put up a bit of a hit on doing affordable home ownership. In fact, when I brought this loan proposal to our committee, there was, I have to say, a little bit of skepticism about, boy, we haven't done home ownership in an awfully long time. I should say, Mr. Mayor, and to your staff at DND, that there was a lot of kudos given, though, by my committee to the design of this program, because some people who sit on my committee were developers who got caught in the 2008 downturn trying to do affordable homeownership. And I think the city has done an incredibly thoughtful job of designing this program to try to think about what, protections and guarantees you can put in to try and make sure that there's a quality product delivered and a good base of applicants ready to step in and buy these houses when they're completed. So I think much credit to the city for the design of the overall program. And we look forward to the completion of these homes, hopefully in pretty short order. So thank you again.
So I know the mayor has to leave soon, but I'm going to just ask the last two funders to, say some quick remarks, and then we're going to get into the actual groundbreaking.
Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to thank Codman Square NDC for inviting NeighborWorks America to be part of today's ceremony as a partner and a funder. Our Regional Vice President, Joan Straussman, couldn't be here today and sends her regards. While we're here this morning to celebrate the groundbreaking of this wonderful project, New England Heritage Homes, 16 affordable mixed income units, on behalf of NeighborWorks America and our Project Reinvest team, I would like to thank Gail, the staff, and the board for its continued efforts and hard work on improving this community. Over the years, NeighborWorks America remains astonished by the staunch dedication, leadership, and vision that Codman Square deploys into its real estate projects and programs in the areas of social justice, economic development, and comprehensive community engagement. We are proud, excited, and honored to be a continued partner to Codman Square and a funder to affordable home housing projects like New England Heritage Homes that will create 16 new units of housing for individuals and families, and to an organization that remains steadfast to developing affordable housing, creating economic opportunities, and fostering civic engagement. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karen Kelleher from LISC Boston. I know my job is to be quick. I'm used to being the funder at the end of the agenda. I just want to say three things quickly. One, to all the public officials here, thank you so much for your really solid support for affordable housing for this neighborhood, but for all the neighborhoods. And I really want to call you out specifically, Mr. Mayor. Your leadership on affordable housing is extraordinary. I go to a lot of conferences and talk to people in other cities around the country about affordable housing efforts, and people are often stunned at the bipartisanship we have in our state, but also the commitment at the city level. And I want to point out two things the mayor mentioned that are really extraordinary. One, the city just looked at the population growth in Boston and increased their housing goals. They were already incredibly aggressive housing goals, but that's the kind of honesty in tackling this problem that we need. They're very difficult challenges. Sheila Dillon and your team are extraordinary to work with. So, woo. Second, Codman Square NDC, Gail, our partnership together, LISC and Codman Square, is long. I know I am new to it. I'm not new to building affordable housing in the state and in Boston, but I am new to LISC. Gail, when she and I sat down, talked about the fact that LISC has been a part of almost every project they've done, and I am proud to continue to have LISC roll up our sleeves and work with you and with your team on housing and economic development work going forward. Our motto is helping neighbors build communities, so the last thing I want to say is congratulations to the community and to the neighborhood group, because that is what that motto means. This is what the vision is about, and it's why I am at LISC Boston. So I'm proud to be a part of this, and thank you so much.
All right, so give you a count? Yeah. 1, 2, 3.